Good morning, everyone. This is Tara Sewell, internal wholesaler with Financial Markets. Thank you for joining us today. Your lines are muted for sound quality. If you have any questions, please reach out to your internal wholesaler today. We will be drawing a winner for our summer giveaway. Our winner will have a choice of a Blackstone griddle or a propane fire pit table. Financial Markets President Neil Sperling will be discussing pending legislation that may affect your clients. Before we get started, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for your business. Together, we help families protect their financial futures and their legacies. Congratulations to Kirby. She was our winner of our March Madness drawing. And congratulations to our runners-up. For every application you submitted between March 24th and July 7th, you received one ticket in our hat. You earned double tickets for applications with our premier carriers and triple tickets if the case was placed by July 7th. Now, production for this quarter has been incredible. Thank you for your business. Today, we have 7,403 tickets in our hat. You must be pre-registered and be present for the duration of our call. Your name can only be drawn once. Now, in 2019, the state of Washington passed the Long-Term Care Services and Supports Trust Act, creating a new payroll tax to help the state address the costs of long-term care. Many other states are implementing their own long-term care tax. And today, Vice President Neil Sperling will open our minds to what we can expect. Neil?
Good morning, all. Wow, Tara, I believe this webinar may have beaten our record for attendees. Good luck to all the producers joining us today for the drawing of the Blackstone griddle or fire pit. And most importantly, thank you to those in the drawing. Thank you for trusting Financial Markets with your brokerage business. We appreciate your business. So for today's topic, a true favorite of most citizens, taxation. There's a new tax looming and it centers around the aging population, increasing healthcare costs, innovations in healthcare, allowing us to live longer, a low unemployment rate, and the strain all of this causes to the government safety nets, mainly of which is Medicaid. If you like statistics and haven't visited the Kaiser Family Foundation website, I'd encourage you to check it out. They have a large swath of information on many topics. This graph from them shows the median annual income of Medicare enrollees as compared to the annual cost of various levels of long-term care. As you can see, Medicare, not Medicaid, normal Medicare beneficiaries earn around $30,000 per year, while home health care costs around $60,000 and full-blown nursing care costs around $100,000 per year. How much does the average retiree or Medicare beneficiary have in savings to cover these care needs? According to credit.com, the average savings for persons aged 65 to 74 is $57,000. That wouldn't even cover 1 year of home health care. So who pays for this care? By and large, the federal and state governments pay for long-term care costs. In other words, taxpayers foot the bill. An argument could be made that more people should buy long-term care insurance. I agree. But long-term care insurance covered persons as a percentage of the population has remained stagnant around 10 to 12% of persons age 65 or older. However, who seems to buy long-term care? Persons with higher income or assets are generally those who purchase protection. So oftentimes, those who purchase long-term care would have been able to pay for a substantial portion or maybe even all of their care prior to death, even without that long-term care insurance. Many of those higher income or higher asset persons purchase long-term care insurance to protect assets from spend down to qualify for Medicaid. And the state long-term care partnership programs further encourage this type of buying behavior. While lower asset and lower income households go without protection, exacerbating the cost to Medicaid. The amazing thing to see here is the overwhelming cost to the social safety nets for this chronic care. Medicaid collectively spent $215 billion for in-home and in-facility care in 2020. The rest of the $400 billion in the US was from out-of-pocket, private insurance, and foundations. Now, the prior slide was just referring to long-term care spending. Including long-term care spending, Medicaid paid out $728 billion in benefits in the fiscal year ending in 2021. Of that amount, the portion paid by the individual states amounted to about $226 billion. That's quite a bit of money by any measurement. A $226 billion price tag to the states is becoming very burdensome to many other programs. How can we quantify what 226 billion looks like? How about looking at some GDPs, which is the value of all products and services produced by a country in a fiscal year? The US is still the biggest economy in the world with over 23 trillion in GDP for fiscal year 2021. You see here, Greece had a GDP of 215 billion. Just the portion states pay for Medicaid collectively exceeds the full output of the country of Greece for an entire year. While it's still tough for me to imagine what $226 billion really is, that 215 billion GDP from Greece is the result of a country with a population of 10.64 million citizens. So what can be done about it? We can do what government does best, kick the can down the road and change nothing of our spending or services. Or we could simply reduce benefits. If the social safety net, Medicaid, limits services or goes away altogether, problem solved. But that never get traction in Congress. So we come back to you, the taxpayer. We have a bill, we're having trouble paying, so let's just pass the burden back to the taxpayer. Politicians are so good at messaging. They use a soothing term for increasing your taxes. Let's increase revenue, they say. And that is what states are considering. Let's take a look at the first state that has passed a long-term care tax. The state is Washington. The Evergreen state had a 2021 GDP of 575 billion. As a result of that GDP, the state collected 32 billion in taxes. Of that 32 billion, the state paid out $1 in every $5 to Medicaid, amounting to 6.8 billion for the social safety net. That seems like a problem to me, and the Washington legislature thought the same thing. In 2018, Washington state began exploring ways to either curb spending or increase revenue. There's that word again, increase revenue, which you and I know to mean increase taxes, to lessen the burden of Medicaid on the state coffers. As a result of that, a bill was introduced in 2019, which eventually was signed into law by Washington Governor Jay Inslee on April 19th of 2019. This bill hopes to fix the long-term care part of Medicaid expenditures by imposing a new tax. The new tax, which is a payroll tax, was originally supposed to be effective January of 2022. However, due to logistics and great criticism, the bill was later amended to delay tax collection to July of 2023. So those of you on the call from Washington are quite familiar with the new line item on paychecks in your state, the new LTSS trust tax. Now, unlike the insurance you sell, even though Washington citizens are paying for this so-called long-term care coverage today, nobody's eligible for benefits until July of 2026. So pay premiums through your payroll taxes today, and for the next 3 years, cross your fingers that you don't need care between now and then. So what is the tax? As mentioned, the tax just began 2 weeks ago. For payrolls July 1st and moving forward, the state of Washington, employees will pay 0.58% to the newly coined Washington CARES Act, created by the LTSS Trust Act. Unlike many taxes, there's no limit on the tax. While they indicate the 0.58% tax will never increase, there's no cap on the amount of wages subject to the tax. So a person earning $100,000 in wages would pay $580 in total tax for a full calendar year. And a person earning $400,000 would pay simply 4 times that, around $2,300 in tax for a full calendar year. So in order to claim benefits with the Washington CARES Act, the taxpayer must have paid the payroll tax for at least 10 years. There's a caveat allowing if a person contributed to the payroll tax for less than 10 years, but at least 3 years of the past 6, they'll be eligible for full benefits. Also, for persons currently age 55 or older, they'll be able to earn a pro rata 10% of the total benefit for each year they work from this year moving forward. So how about a current 40-year-old? If they work, let's say 9 years, and then get a job in another state and move out of Washington, they lose their coverage if they do not return to Washington within 5 years and resume paying the payroll tax before that 5 years is up, permitting they ultimately, of course, accumulate 10 years of payroll tax payments. So does anyone remember Russell Wilson from the Seattle Seahawks? He was the quarterback that took the Seahawks to victory in Super Bowl 48 in 2014. Why do I bring up the Seahawks? They're from Washington, Washington State. Have you heard of the new quarterback for Seattle? Meet Geno Smith. In March of this year, Geno signed with the Seahawks for a 3-year deal worth an average of $25 million per year. He's a young man from Miami, Florida, with a stellar college career, a bit of a rocky start to his NFL career, but landing in Seattle last year with a leading league completion percentage. Remember the Washington CARES Act? Remember there's no cap on wages? Geno Smith will be paying $145,000 in taxes annually from his $25 million salary for the Washington CARES Act. It may not sound like much related to $25 million, but we'll look at the benefits in a little bit here. Also, Geno was raised in Florida. It is likely he'll not stay in Washington once he is traded or retires. The Washington long-term care benefits are not portable, so if he moves out of the state, the coverage ceases. Okay, well, how about Russell Wilson? Russell Wilson, from a financial standpoint, is brilliant. Let's take a look. Once again, Russell Wilson led the Seahawks to victory in Super Bowl 48. At the ripe age of 33, the Cincinnati, Ohio native signed a 5-year contract with Denver worth $245 million. Those numbers I can barely fathom. But take a look at this. Had he remained in Washington with that type of salary, the new Washington tax would cost over $1.4 million over the 5-year period. So not only did he do quite well in the transaction, he saved a pile of money in taxes by leaving Washington. And even if Russell Wilson or Geno Smith were to remain in Washington and meet the other criteria once and if they were to need long-term care, how much coverage would they be entitled to? And this is interesting. Let's take a look. As mentioned previously, even though the payroll tax became effective this month in Washington, benefits are not available until 2026. And once those benefits are available, they're limited to just $36,500 in the first year they become available. While they're indexed for inflation, considering there is no cap to taxable salaries, some higher income earners will pay drastically more in tax than they could ever possibly claim in benefits. Again, this benefit is just $36,500. And this is not an annual benefit. This is a one-time, lifetime maximum. According to the most recent Genworth cost of care study, the average cost for just home health care services in 2021 in Washington was more than double what the initial benefit will be in the plan starting in 2026. But certainly, the $36,500 per person will help defray costs from Medicaid, at least a bit. As you may recall, this act was signed into law April of 2019. The act provided that Washington residents could opt out of the payroll tax under a few provisions. A 70 or more percent disabled veteran, a spouse of an active duty military person, a non-immigrant with a work visa, or those working in Washington while residing outside of the state. These opt-out provisions just mentioned are still effective. There was one other provision that provided a potential opportunity for Washington residents, insurance companies, and agents offering long-term care insurance. If the taxpayer acquired long-term care insurance prior to November of 2021, they could opt out of the tax. That provided nearly 31 months for people to obtain coverage. The problem was there was only a requirement of having long-term care insurance. There was no minimum guidelines on how much benefit was required. Additionally, once the person was approved for opt-out by showing they owned private long-term care insurance, there was no ongoing requirement to actually keep the coverage in force. So the opportunity quickly turned into chaos for insurance companies in 2021. While people were afforded 31 months to secure the coverage, you think the average Washingtonian knew about it? Or if they did know about it, go out and get the coverage early? Of course not, they're humans. They waited until the last minute, then most of them attempted to buy the least amount of coverage just to qualify for the opt-out. On your screen, you'll see 3 announcements. These are made in 2021 from carriers indicating temporary suspension of Washington long-term care sales. It was pure chaos for our insurance company partners. During the summer of 2021, thousands of applications were coming into the few carriers who even offered long-term care. That, along with once-in-a-century pandemic resulting in a limited workforce, it brought carriers to a standstill in underwriting. Imagine a carrier accustomed to processing, let's say, around 100 long-term care applications per day, to receiving now over 1,000 per day. Not only did it affect Washington, it affected the business from all states, as underwriters work on business from multiple states. Eventually, carriers were forced to stop accepting business from Washington. These carriers were still underwriting businesses submitted during the Washington wave in all states, even into the following new year. Folks, it was a mess, but we learned a lot, but so did other states considering similarly intended programs. So currently, there are 14 states with at least an exploratory committee determining how to tackle the long-term care crisis hitting their respective Medicaid funds. While there may be some pride in being the first to innovate, Washington arguably made a lot of bumbles in their rollout, from not defining the private insurance coverage guidelines, the opt-out procedure itself, along with delayed tax implementation effective date. They paid the tuition, and other states are taking note. Is your state on this list? Google your state's long-term care tax and read about where they are at in the process. For example, we have several producers on the call today from California. Their current proposal has passed the Senate already. It is currently pending an actuarial report required to be completed no later than January of next year, with an expected implementation date in 2025. While the tax rate there has not yet been set, it's rumored to be from 0.40% to 0.60% payroll tax, similar to Washington. An opt-out is being considered but not concluded yet. New York also has a bill in committee for this same purpose. Their bill's not concluded the tax rate, but rumors for the New York bill are suggesting potentially a full 1% tax being tossed around. The other states have shown limited details available publicly at this time, but these proposals are exploratory committees that are serious and will likely lead to new taxation. Most of the states shown, it is only a matter of time for all these states to see similar attempts to tackle the Medicaid long-term care funding problem. Other states will likely not make many of the same mistakes Washington did. The other states have now had the opportunity to see the pitfalls from some of the provisions implemented in Washington. One thing we have heard from many sources, however, is if there is an opt-out provision to the tax by having private long-term care insurance, it will likely only apply to those long-term care in effect as of the date of the law, meaning there will be likely no grace period from enactment, like we saw with the generous 31-month period in Washington. Additionally, there will likely be minimum limits on coverage, but that remains to be seen. What does this mean to insurance producers? As you may have expected, I would say now is the time to be talking to your existing and prospective clients and obtaining their own long-term care coverage. It may end up saving them a tremendous amount of money in the future. For your clients living outside of Washington State, how should they prepare if they want to avoid the new long-term care tax? Basically, nobody knows yet. First, we do not know if any one of the states will provide an opt-out option. Second, If states do provide an opt-out option, we do not know if there'll be a specific minimum or definition of coverage. The best teacher the industry is using at this time to base recommendations is the Washington State Framework and legislative comments about its implementation. What we do expect, as mentioned before, there'll likely be very little, if any, grace period for persons to opt out. First, we believe tax qualified long-term care will qualify for an opt-out. This is what we may refer to as traditional long-term care. Second, long-term care riders on life insurance and annuity products. The rider, we believe, will be specifically needed to be an IRC code 7702B, where the rider is actually a long-term care insurance benefit. The very popular riders under Section 101G are considered chronic illness riders and therefore will likely not qualify. So let's look at what products you may consider sharing with your clients to potentially avoid these taxes in the future. These are the products currently available to you through financial markets. This is a busy list, and we won't go into detail on each. The ones X'd out in red are the popular chronic illness riders that would likely not qualify as actual long-term care coverage. If you want to discuss what makes those different, reach out to your internal wholesaler here at Financial Markets, and they'll be happy to go over that with you. In the middle, we have Mutual of Omaha. This is your traditional tax-qualified long-term care. While this may be the lowest cost product, the rates are not guaranteed and subject to future increase. The rest of the products highlighted are hybrid life insurance or annuity products with long-term care riders we believe will likely qualify as an opt-out. Again, if an opt-out is provided. Those hybrid life products also generally have guaranteed premiums that will never increase. But also keep in mind, aside from purchasing a long-term care product for potential state tax planning, we really can't forget all the other things these products do for your clients, such as quality of care, spouse security, asset protection, and of course, legacy planning. Okay, I see a lot of producers on this call that are absolute master salespersons and planners. And many of those will agree if you own something yourself, the more likely you are to sell the same to your client. So if you don't have a form of long-term care protection and are able to qualify for coverage, get protection on yourself. Now, the next method is pretty simple, but I'll first tell you a story. My daughter's 10 years old, and I went to pick her up at a friend's house last Thursday. After picking her up, we were driving and came to a stop sign in a residential area. It was a nice day, so our windows were open, and a young girl, I assumed around 8 years old or so, was on the corner with a little table, and she politely yelled if we would like to buy a picture she had colored. I looked over, making eye contact, and she approached my car with 2 pictures. You could see the excitement and worry in her eyes. Her excitement from getting the engagement opportunity and her worry that we may not buy. I asked her a little bit about the pictures and then pointed to the one I liked and asked her how much for that one. She said $2, somewhat nervously. I looked in my wallet and for sure I had $2. I told her I'd take it. I handed her my $2 and in turn, I had a new work of art in my possession. The little girl then ran back to the corner where she had some of her friends with her and shared the good news that she made a sale. Driving away, my daughter, again age 10, asked why I bought it. Because she asked. Simply because she asked, I said to her. You don't need to be an expert or even highly familiar with the options available. Just ask your clients if they'd like a quote for long-term care protection. When they say yes, and I assure you, if you ask enough, some will say yes, reach out to your internal wholesaler here at Financial Markets. They'll show you the options and the pros and the cons for each, and I assure you, you will sell more long-term care in 2023 if you just ask. By the way, if you've not already assumed it, the picture on this slide is the work of art I purchased from the young girl. Also, I live in a town of around 6,000 people, so kids are somewhat still allowed to be kids in our smaller community without worrying about some of the big city dangers. But it was a fun experience for me as much as it was for the newly found future sales leader. So in summary, here are the states that have passed or will likely have legislation presented for a new tax attempting to supplement Medicaid spending on long-term care. If your state is in gray, it's probably just a matter of time before legislation is proposed. Do your clients a favor, tell them what you can offer in the way of long-term care and the potential tax savings down the road. Now is the time. Thank you for your continued business through financial markets. We appreciate each and every one of you. Tara?
Thank you, Neil. I think you've uncovered a great opportunity for all of us to open the conversation of long-term care with our clients. Please reach out to your internal wholesaler if you'd like to see long-term care options for your clients. We look forward to helping you on your next case. Now, let's get to our drawing and draw our first finalist for our 2023 summer giveaway. Got my hat here. With our names, again, we have 7,403 tickets in the hat. We're going to drop those into our hat, and we're looking for our first finalist. Helen Dale with 167 tickets in the hat. Is Helen on the call, Neil?
I'll take a look here, Tara. Helen is not with us here today.
Okay, again, you do have to be present on the call in order to qualify. So we're looking for our first qualifier. Wayne Breetag with 610 tickets. Is Wayne on the call?
Taking a look here, Tara. Wayne's not only on the call, he's on here twice somehow.
Congratulations, Wayne. You are our first finalist for our summer giveaway. Now, you can find many great resources for family succession, business planning on our website at fmiAgent.com. Go under the Agent Tools, Advanced Marketing Resources, and then you'll also find the Turnkey Sales Kits and the Virtual Sales Assistant. Financial Markets introduced FMI Vive. There's never been a faster, more efficient way to submit your term applications. Reach out to your internal wholesaler for more information. Let's get on to our second finalist. Pull our hat back up here. Wayne Breetag is our first finalist. We are looking for number 2, Wayne Martin with 394 tickets. Is Wayne Martin on the call?
The second Wayne is on the call. Wayne Martin is here.
All right, congratulations, Wayne Martin and Wayne Breetag. We're going to go ahead and continue, and we are looking now for our third finalist, Lisa Ware with 240 tickets. Is Lisa on today's call?
Lisa as well is on the call. Congratulations.
All right. Now, are you following us on YouTube? You can subscribe to Financial Markets YouTube channel at youtube.com/fmiAgent. Click that subscribe button. You will find a webinar replays, sales concepts, case studies, and consumer videos. You'll also find the Brighter Summer Days series by our very own Ed Bartling. In his most recent video, you'll hear some stories, some legends, and some myths. Let's draw our fourth and fifth finalists for the Blackstone Griddle or the Fire Pit Table. Rita Mussera with 698 tickets. Is Rita on the call?
I'm taking a look here, Tara. And she is not on the call.
Okay, we do need you to be present for the duration of the call and on when I draw your name. Now we drew Helen Dale again. We know that she's not on the call, so we'll continue. We are looking for our fourth finalist. Angie Ford with 212 tickets. Is Angie on today's call?
And Angela Ford is on the call.
Congratulations. And let's see if we can find our fifth finalist. Faith Christoph with 324 tickets. Is Faith on today's call?
Tara, she is not on the call.
Okay, we will draw again. We are looking for our 5th finalist. Russell Lane with 211 tickets. Is Russell on the call?
Russell is not on the call.
Okay, so let's just recap. We have Wayne Breetag, Wayne Martin, Lisa Ware, and Angela Ford as finalists. We're looking for our 5th finalist. Roy Luke, 65 tickets. Is Mr. Luke on the call?
Take a look here. And Mr. Luke is on the call.
Congratulations to our finalists, Wayne Breetag, Wayne Martin, Lisa Ware, Angela Ford, and Roy Luke.
With as little as $1 million of annuity premium or $30,000 of life premium or any combination, you and your guest could be on your way to the next amazing FMI agent trip. We will be cruising on the Royal Caribbean Liberty of the Seas to Bermuda. This family-friendly luxury cruise has activities for all ages, including a water park complete with the flow rider, the surf simulator, a spa and a fitness center, nightly entertainment, a casino, and even an ice skating rink out in the middle of the ocean. They have awesome food. Enjoy time with your family, colleagues, and friends. And they also have 24-hour room service. That's what I signed up for. The dates are set for Saturday, May 4th through Thursday, May 9th of 2024. That'll be the sale date. We'll be able to explore the historic fortresses of the British colonial landmarks like the Royal Navy Dockyard, bask in the sun on pink sand beaches, or dive into the sea for some of the best scuba diving in the world. We really look forward to hosting our qualifiers for this unforgettable cruise.
Thank you, Neil. I have our finalist names in our hat for our final drawing. Pull this over here. And we'll give it one last shuffle and drop those finalists in our hat. Okay, here we go for our finalist. Mr. Roy Luke with 65 tickets. Congratulations. You have won the drawing and we'll be contacting you for your choice of the Blackstone or the fire pit table. And congratulations to our 4 runners-up on winning a custom maple cutting board. Thank you for your business and thank you for your time today. Now you can get back to what you do best, providing coverage and peace of mind to your clients. Have a great day.